My name is Scott Hostetler, and I play englishhorn in the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. The englishhorn solo in the New World Symphony by Antonín Dvořák is one of the most famous and beautiful of all englishhorn solos. I often feel like the simplest melodies are some of the hardest ones to really play beautifully, and that is certainly the case with this melody. The solo has a lot of rhythmic repetition. This dotted rhythm happens over and over, and I don't want that to be the only thing the listener notices. I want the listener to notice the beautiful shape, the natural shape that the melody already has, the way it's written. So I practice the first bar by just playing quarter notes. And when I put the dotted rhythms back in, I want that shape to stay exactly the same as it was when I was playing quarter notes. The third bar of the solo looks exactly the same in the englishhorn part as the first bar. But in the first bar, as I said, you're simply outlining the D-flat major chord. And in the third bar, there's an augmented chord on beat 3. It's a more dissonant chord. It's further away from tonic. It requires more expression. So when you play the third bar, I make a very deliberate crescendo into the third beat. Take a look at the next 4 bars of the piece. You've got 2 bars and then 2 bars repeated, and they look exactly the same. 1 bar crescendo up, a bar crescendo down, a bar crescendo up, a bar crescendo down. Rarely do I ever want to play something exactly the same twice in a row, so there's got to be something I can do differently. I like to play the first 2 bars with relatively small phrases, and then when I repeat it, I try to make one giant phrase out of the whole 2 bars. Now, the end of the solo, of course, has this crescendo up to the high C, which is one of the hardest things to do on the englishhorn. The printed high C on an englishhorn is one of the weakest and flimsiest notes, and of course, it's the climax of the solo. But I always remind my students, the travel is much more important than the destination. It's not so important that the high C be loud, but that you made a crescendo to it. So I break down the piece just like this when I'm getting ready to perform it, and I take each bar and think about what I want that bar to do technically. But when I sit down to perform it, I don't want to be thinking about all these details. I practice them so that they become automatic, and then when I go to perform, I want to think about the bigger picture. One of Dvořák's students took the tune and wrote words to it, I think in the 1920s sometime, and it became a popular song called Going Home. And the lyrics are about longing for your homeland, wanting to see your family again. So you could think about that. There's not one thing it has to be, but you have to think of some kind of mood or story that you're trying to tell, and trust that the work you've done on the details will be there automatically.